Alright. 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 I gotta talk about Expedition 33. Oh! Oh, this music! Counter. Oh my god!
That's why I'm training every day by beating up my little brother.
Oh! Found the sex door. Oh my... Shit! I want to get good. I want to get good. Let's fucking go! So, I'm pretty sure that almost all of you watching this video have either played Expedition 33 and want more people to talk about it with, or you have heard non-stop praise about it from either your friends or someone else on the internet. I too was one of these people, and I was incredibly confused until I looked up just how the game's combat worked, and I was immediately sold. However, I am now here to be yet another voice in the choir singing the praises of this game. And so if you have played the game, feel free to engage in a discussion in the comments. I really want to talk about this game with a lot of people. And if you haven't played this game, then hopefully this will convince you all the more to play it. However, I will be giving a spoiler warning. I will be covering events that happen in the prologue and in Act 1. Nothing after that, and I will provide a time code on screen for you to skip ahead in case you want to listen but you don't want spoilers. So since the gameplay was what first got me to even want to play Expedition 33, short of confusion about all the praise, I feel as though it would be best to talk about that first, and oh boy is this game's gameplay absolutely immaculate. To summarize for those that don't know, it's basically a side-by-side turn-based combat system like Persona 5 or Final Fantasy, stuff like that, but you do have real-time elements for your attacks and your defense. The way this works is that your abilities all have a QTE that you have to finish, either to actually do it at all, or to get bonus effects or bonus damage into it. And when it comes to defending yourself, you have dodge and parry and a whole bunch of other variants about it that the game slowly unlocks for you in very good tutorials, mind you, but I'll get to that in just a moment. And with dodging and parrying, it's not just simply getting out of the way of an attack and then keeping on the offensive like you would in Dark Souls or Bloodborne. Actually, what you do get is that you get more AP if you parry an attack, or if you put on a piece of equipment that would give you AP if you dodge. And this means that you get to do more or bigger things on your turn, which is obviously how you're going to win a lot of fights. And then also, if you perfect every single parry of an attack chain an enemy does, you actually get a full-on counterattack against them that does massive damage and staggers them a lot easier. This alone was enough for me to be excited to play the game in the first place, and I now am addicted to the combat and just want to fight random guys so that way I can just keep doing the combat. And I've even seen my friends play this and they want to do the same thing. And like I said, you don't just simply have the basic dodge, parry, attack, and abilities, you get a whole bunch of other stuff, and the game builds upon these tutorials very well, step by step. Like in the prologue, with the tutorial with Mael, she first teaches you how to dodge, then she teaches you how to parry, and you see the benefits of parrying, and then you get to practice dodging, so that way, if you really want to, you know exactly how it's gonna look. And then after that, with the mind fight, it teaches you how important breaking enemies is, and it gives you a good opportunity to practice your dodges and parries. And then you get a rematch with Mael, and you get to put all of those skills that you learned in the past hour to the test. But wait, hold on. After every couple of fights, or bosses, or story moments that happen, you get a new type of defense, offense, or type of character that you get to control, and then you can master the combat system all over again. And that's not even accounting for Pictos, Luminas, weapon levels, or anything like that, let alone combining those with what characters you want to have in your team. I don't know if the combination of Pictos, Luminas, and equipment is going to give you as much depth as Path of Exile, but it absolutely scratches that same part of my brain that Path of Exile does with its massive skill tree and all of its uniques. So what the game does is that it gives you both a strategy element with how you build your characters, and that scratches that part of the brain, but then it also gives you a skill-based element to keep you engaged and make you feel very skilled at the game, and that you can kill any boss just by parrying it enough. And trust me, there are going to be plenty of bosses for you to fight, both optional and not, all of them with very, very unique, dynamic movesets that really trip you up. I'm pretty sure you've seen enough of the memes of, like, bosses in Expedition 33, be like. And pretty much every single one of these guys is worth doing, just for the sake of having fun in the combat in the first place, but then they all give you really meaningful rewards, so you always feel as though that you actually should be going to go do them, and if you don't, well then, you're missing out. And if nothing else, then I mean, hey, you can enjoy the wonderful visuals and the sound design of this game, which I normally don't talk about in my videos, but I'm gonna actually bring up here. So I typically want the footage and the music choices that I have that back me in these videos to just speak for themselves, and then you can make your own opinions about it. But legitimately, the two things that blow me away when it comes to the visuals and the sound design is, first of all, with the visuals, it looks this goddamn fucking gorgeous, and you don't have to spend half an hour waiting for shaders to compile and therefore wasting your 2-hour refund limit on Steam. And with the music, honestly dude, this game has music so good that I can actually just want to open it up and then just sit and listen to the music, especially some of the ones in boss fights, which you've already heard one at the start of the video, although I will not disclose which. And of course, I must also repeat the same factoid that every single person that talks about this game has, is that the composer was found on fucking SoundCloud, and this guy busts out amazing music just on the hourly. But there you go, I just felt as though that I should have brought it up, and now we can actually get to the story and the prologue and why I feel as though that they are damn near perfect. And you heard me right, I feel as though that, if not the story as a whole, then the prologue to Expedition 33 is probably perfect, and the best one I have definitely seen in pretty much any video game ever, save for maybe Signalis. But anyways, just like even the first 15 seconds, hell, even the first 5 minutes of the game are already enough to establish a lot of really good things really early. Such as, why is everything so fucked up? What is the monolith? Why does it say 34? What does Gamage mean if I don't speak French? Why does everybody seem so morose? Oh wait, hang on. Well, looking at all these context clues, that means that, and that means that, and oh no. Oh no. And those of you that have either played the prologue or have seen people go through it already know what is going to happen and what all this means and the foreshadowing and the very subtle details and all of it, but I mean, I didn't pick it up when I was playing because I was getting too caught up in my own head. And the beautiful thing is that at no point does anybody ever just directly tell you, the player, what this is in the typical establishing way that a lot of games and TV shows would, such as, it has been 67 years since the Paintress has arrived, and we have been living so morosely. Don't you agree, Mael? Instead, the characters have just lived in this world for dozens of years and have come to accept it as normal, even if it is still grim and sad and people still have these emotions. And it's up to you, the player, to get it all through context clues, and the game trusts you to be that smart. And even if you don't piece it together fully like I did, or how some other people would, you then have it all come together immediately during the Gamage. The Gamage is probably the most perfect inciting incident, in my opinion. First of all, it's like I said earlier, these characters have been living through this for decades now, and so even if the event is still sad, it's just basically routine to them, and a lot of characters even do bring up how it's comforting. But it's still our first time as new observers into this world, this thing happening, so if we get attached to the characters, which I at the very least did because they did a very good job of it, then you are just hit with this massive wave of shock and realization and tragedy as the music swells and you just are seeing everybody vanish. And even if you didn't speak to all of those people that got Gamaged, you still have been there with Sophie and Gustave, and you get to see their last moments together. And for Gustave, this is the end of the world, more or less, for him. Not so much so as it would be a little bit later down the line, but even then, he still is devastated, and you can see it on his face. You can just see how broken and distraught and sad and furious he is, and you can just think about what it is that's going on in his head as he stares up at the Paintress. And speaking of the Paintress, it doesn't matter how good of a villain she is, her establishment as the villain is absolutely perfect. And that's because this scene shows our big bad evil guy, our end goal, the one we have to go and kill, the JRPG Go Kill God, but it tells you it in the first hour. And yet she still remains an enigma, such as, who is the Paintress? Why does she Gamage everyone? And all she did was paint the number, so is she actively killing everyone, or is there something else going on here? And we still can't see her face, despite seeing her form, so there's a mystery there too. And that mystery also builds as we talk to Nevrons on the continent, and they are all about speaking reverently about the Paintress, but then we also see Nevrons that are just mindlessly trying to kill us, and it's like, wait, hang on, what's going on here? And when that's all done and you see Gustav broken, you think that you have a moment of respite. You think you have a moment of relaxation. You think you have a moment to then rise up to the occasion and have a heroic start to the game with talking to everybody in the expedition and getting that really badass speech that sends you off to the continent in the hopes to kill the Paintress. But then...
How did you survive the Gamage? Which expedition are you from?
Oh.
Fall back!
Holy shit! Wow, this really fucking went up in oh, what the? Yeah, everybody just fucking dies like it's fucking Normandy. And you wanna know the thing that makes it hit all the harder? Is that you got to speak with everybody on the expedition, and you got to know them a little bit, and you got to be like, oh hey, look at all these cool future party members I'll have. Oh, what kind of game is it gonna be with all the turn-based team building? And then surprise, everybody gets butchered. I cast Face Hand Lightning. And it's this event that makes Gustav think that the world is over, or at the very least, there's no point left in living, because I don't really think I've seen any character in a video game actively contemplate suicide. And the one that did it off screen, and it was a side character. It was not the main guy that is supposed to be the protagonist of the video game that we have spent the past hour and a half playing with. And you want to know the line that saves him? It's not some "don't do it, Gustav." It's not "Sophie would have wanted this," or "we have to continue." It's just the simple lines of,
You do that, we both die.
"You do it, and we both die." Which is just another element in all of the ways this game's dialogue is just fucking perfect, dude. Or if it's not perfect, then it, at the very least, is some of the best dialogue you can get in video games. And what I mean by this is that, first of all, the dialogue is very grounded in the world, and characters all actually are fairly aware of what's going on, and those that don't are very promptly informed as if they're just someone who hasn't been educated, rather than a, hello player, this is something about the world, and we are going to be telling you about it. Like, for example, is Esquier. And Esquier is actually brought up earlier than when you have the quest to go talk to him. There's even a statue of him in Lumiere, so everybody knows who he is, even though that we don't. And you have to just piece it together. And when you meet him, it's like, oh shit, it's the mythical Esquier. But then not only is the dialogue grounded, it also is some of the most realistic stuff people would say. And I've got a couple of examples here, but I'll just keep it to the rule of 3. First is when Gustav meets up with Sophie after they've been broken up for who knows how long, and the dialogue is just, it's how real people would talk if they still had feelings for each other and they just broke up and they're trying to make amends before someone is sent off forever. Gustav stumbles over his words and he doesn't finish his sentences, to which Sophie even calls him out, but they also talk over each other and they say these very basic things, but you can also tell it's because they don't know exactly what it is that they want to say, they just know how they feel. And all the while, they're just, like, they're almost making full eye contact because they are, it's awkward for them, and they want these last moments to matter, but they don't know how to really voice their feelings, and it's so real. And then during the Gamage, it's just 2 words that Gustav says, but they feel so heavy in this moment. And it's just...
I'm here.
I'm here. During this scene, Gustav has all of these emotions circling and swelling inside of him, and he knows that he can't truly comfort Sophie physically, and he can't save her, and he can't protect her. So all he can do is just give the words of assurance. I'm here. And the third example is after all of these emotional events, the Gamage and Normandy, and realizing that Maëlle might actually be alive and he wants to go save her, is when Gustav and Lune have a fight about the mission. And the way they talk, it is two people that both respect each other and have their own points of view, but they never disrespect each other's opinions and they never shoot each other down. They just try and convince the other of their point, Gustav with emotion and Lune with logic. But it all boils over and Gustav shouts out,
Oh, fuck the mission! Fuck the mission, Lune!
And thankfully, at the end of the conversation, when they've made amends in some way, Lune makes a little joke about it, just saying, really, fuck the mission. To show that, you know, like, they can still be friends and joke around and just ease the tension, which is a lot of what real things people do in conversations. But there's even one part about that conversation that calls out to me even more, and it's when Lune asks this question.
You and I... Come on, we always said the future of Lumiere is more important than
Any individual life, yes.
Do you still believe that? Do you still believe that?
And there's a long pause, and Gustav thinks, because he has a lot of things he may want to say instinctually, but he wants to say the right thing. He wants to say what he believes. And he just says,
I hope I do.
And it's this response that Gustav has that I still think about, because it has so much depth to it in terms of what kind of character Gustav is, as well as highlighting the realism within the dialogue. Because at first, well, of course Gustav is gonna say, I hope I do, because he doesn't know if he still believes it, because he cares about Maëlle so much, so he doesn't know, and he at least wants to give Lune an answer. But then also, I personally feel like that if I were in even a remotely similar situation, I would also answer, I hope I do, because I can't look that far into the future. I can't tell if my mind is gonna change in any given moment in the future. And so, that answer just weighs so fucking heavy on me, and I fucking adore it. It is amazing writing. Fantastic. And there's countless other examples of writing such as that in this game, and I think that is why this game is gonna be people's game of the year, amongst, obviously, all the other things, but it's just, the story and the writing are so good, man. And this is all just the prologue and the start to Act 1, mind you. There is still so much more that you get to do, so many more characters you get to meet, so many more moments you get to see, and so much more you get to learn. And all of it is brilliant, beautiful, and emotional. And that isn't even considering the ending of Act 1 or even Act 2, which both blew my mind. However, I'm not going to talk about them in this video because that is major, major, major spoilers. However, if my word is anything to go off of, just know that Act 1 and Act 2 are what genuinely are going to make this game Game of the Year for me, personally, unless something else comes along. And there you have it. I think I got everything I wanted to talk about this game off my chest, save for the ending of Act 1 and the entirety, as well as the end of Act 2. But again, want to keep this spoiler-free, and I've already rambled on for enough. Genuinely though, I do think this game is going to be a lot of people's Game of the Year. I do believe it's going to be mine at the very least, because I think it's damn near perfect, and I'm not even done with it as I'm making this video. I really hope I convinced some of you to play it, and for those of you that have already played it, well then, I hope I entertained you, and I encourage you to leave a comment so that way we can engage in a discussion, because I really want to talk about this game with a lot of people. But that's enough rambling for me today. I thank you for stopping by, I thank you for watching however much you did, and I hope to see you in the next video. But until then, I hope you have a great rest of your time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Sometimes I feel sorry for her.
Who? The paintress?
Look at her. She looks sad. Maybe she's a prisoner too, stuck in the same cycle with us. Silly, huh?
Only you could choose empathy at a moment like this.
It's one of the few choices I can make.
I couldn't do it.
It's okay. You don't have to.